May I?
Mother, man. Welcome to my favorite institution. I was talking to somebody earlier about this place, about how every time I come in here I get this feeling that it reminds me of something. And I finally realized what it was. That if you could get inside of my mind, this is what it would look like, exactly. But it's fun to play solo, and you don't have to. First, you think it's going to be easy because you're just going to be solo, because you don't have to make all those pesky phone calls to other band members with all their personal problems. But then you realize that you're just all alone, and that how schizophrenic you really are, because you really are like a band, and you're going, should I practice? Nah, you're doing fine. Well, it couldn't hurt to, go over. So, no, it's going to be fine. Nobody would know the difference. You go back and forth, and it gets weird, I'm telling you, because it's, I do this thing where I tap my foot, and that came upon just from being alone so much, and I found myself talking to different parts of my body, and my foot was down there, and I was looking at it. I said, "Hey, foot," and I know somehow I asked my foot if it wanted to be in the band, and he said, "Well, I don't know. You could do. What are we gonna do?" I said, "I don't know. Well, you can maybe stomp, and it'll be like this unique thing. It'll be like the songs are really." Kind of entities, because they'll have it'd be like a heartbeat, And my foot said, well, then what's your heart gonna do? I'll start with a tune from my latest kind of CD. It's a song called Powder Blue Bible. The CD is called Cornbread Halo. So needless to say, you get your money's worth in the titles. Just in case the songs are no good. I turned myself into a stranger so I can talk to you. And it seems we've grown so close, you and I, as if to become untrue. Now there are ripples in the water that turn into so much more. And when I wished I were a window, I was handed the door. And in a dream I can't untangle, there's a spotlight on your lips, as lonely as a cigarette in church. In my mind, I move that spotlight down your hip. Hold this face, but it might not last. And our hearts pound like coyote footfalls in the orchard, all those silver tears of bullets whizzing past. It's not a common high that the bottle can afford, the contrast of a pill on the tongue. And I'm a ladder that's lost its name when you've removed every rung. There's a spotlight on your lips, as lonely as a cigarette in church in my mind. I move that spotlight down your hip. Let's call it quits and call it twilight. Let's call our children a skeleton crew. Let's shrug our shoulders at Norman Rockwell, paint our old Bible powder blue. I'm giving every word a new meaning, or at least ones that acknowledge me. You could buy your way into heaven, little girl, and still give it away for free. I want to be visible long enough for a long goodbye. And words fall like fruit that only tears can cry. In a dream I can't untangle. There's a spotlight on your lips, as lonely as a cigarette in church in my mind. I move that spotlight down your hip. The world cannot make you a failure, but it sure can make you feel like one. And halt your concentration when the life of your day is done. Powder blue Bible out the window, and the sky opens to dark words. And I held your hand through worse than this, and the wind and the flutter of the birds. Before we tried so hard to believe in things that just crumble in the sand, we'd look into the sky, you and I, and see that powder blue Bible land. Before we tried so hard to believe in things and then veer off and get them wrong, we'd look into the sky, you and I, and see that powder blue Bible song. In a dream I can't untangle. There's a spotlight on your lips, as lonely as a cigarette in church in my mind. I move that spotlight down your hip. Trying to figure that one out myself, what it possibly could have meant, you know. And I asked my wife what she thought was going on in that song, or which she, you know, what kind of a vision came to in her head. And she said it sounded like somebody's grandma's Bible, kind of came in her mind. And I thought, when I thought about it, I thought it seemed like the character in it was kind of grappling with I don't know what you call it, where you worship nature as opposed to other things, you know. That the powder blue was the sky, that was this person's Bible. So you're probably asking, well, doesn't he know what his own song is about? Because that was just a space and time. Which, actually, there was, my mother-in-law was just visiting from Alabama, and at one point she asked me, where the songs come from. How do you do that? I don't understand how you do that. How do they just happen and make them up? I can't believe, how do you? And I didn't, and I was trying to give her an answer, but I didn't have an answer. I really felt stupid, but I didn't have anything to say. And then I thought about it. I go, God, that is a good question. And about a week later, I kind of came up with an answer, to it, and that is, and probably, I think, since this is a folk music center, they do a lot of workshops. So I thought I would try to give a little insight into the songwriting process, as far as I know it. But I think that the major misconception that people have is that you have the whole song in your head and then you just write it down, which maybe somebody does that, but I don't know those people. And that is part of the process, is that you kind of have some kind of idea, but you have to start writing before the other ideas will usher in. It doesn't happen, and I think that's what probably stops most people, so that they think they don't know what they're going to say, and then they don't write at all because they think they're probably not writers. But it's so that songwriting, whatever, it actually probably applies to just about anything that you improvise, and then the songs just come. So you're saying, hey, we came to see this Brian Bowers, I don't know, and then we got home, we looked in the mirror, and sheesh, and I was a professional songwriter all of a sudden. But I don't want to be responsible for that, because you might not make any money and you blame me. Anyway, here's a song I learned from an old movie, an old film noir movie with Robert Mitchum, and like all his movies, he was in trouble and he had to go down to Mexico, and he's down in Mexico, he walks into this little cantina, and over in the corner there's Jane Russell hanging out with the band, and she's singing this song. Oh, 5 little miles from San Bernardino, I woke up humming and I thought of you. I looked out the window and I caught a view. 5 little miles from San Bernardino. 4 little miles from San Bernardino, the porter shouted, we're almost due. Same familiar sights that we both knew. 4 little miles from San Bernardino. Yeah, 3 little miles from San Bernardino. My bags are packed and ready. I said to myself, steady. 2 little miles and we're in heaven. 1 little mile from San Bernardino. My heart was skipping a beat or two. Oh, what a thrill when I saw you waiting at the station in San Bernardino. Wait a minute now, that wasn't you. I don't recognize a single thing I knew. Someone stole the groves and the depot too, as they duck a tumbleweed into San Bernardino. Then I was feeling kinda hungry, so I caught a cab. I said, take me to Bing's Cafe for some cold king crab, and Jerry's Velvet Lounge for a drink or two. He said, senor, those places are long dead in San Bernardino. San Bernardino, San Bernardino, the small teepee village, I caught a clue. I watched an X-rated movie set in San Bernardino. I gave up dreaming as I caught the light. Tomahawk-colored curtains never closed quite right. I bought some crack from a kid and a gun and a brew. Hey, you can't beat us, so come and join us here in San Bernardino. San Bernardino, San Bernardino. The heart won't do what your heart won't. Pretty girl watering the lawn seemed to be just fine. Big mountains at her back and the clean sunshine. 5 million miles from San Bernardino. On a dusty planet we are lost from view. They always ask the same question when they abduct you. Is there life down there in San Bernardino? Thank you. I wrote a couple of those verses, but that sounded like the other person had really been to San Bernardino. But if Jane Russell's singing it, you're still buying it. Somebody wanted to hear this, so I'll try to hamper of a rendition. Called it quits, hung up the phone. Now you love the one you choose. And my friends say I should be happy, but if I'm happy, this is a good imitation of the blues. You threatened to leave one too many times. Now I'm getting out my traveling shoes, because now that you're gone, I'm gonna be walking off this good imitation of the blues. My friends say you're no good without me, and they say that that's good news. And they say that I'm just doing fine, that this is just a good imitation of the blues. You threatened to leave one too many times. Now I'm getting out my traveling shoes, because now that you're gone, I'm gonna be walking off this good imitation of the blues. Black dog, it sniffs at an angel's wing. A hand reaches out to block what ensues, and your candy reality can never dissolve this good imitation of the blues. You threatened to leave one too many times. Now I'm getting out my traveling shoes, because now that you're gone, I'm walking off this good imitation of the blues. I just had the great fortune of having that recorded by a gentleman by the name of Alan Jackson. And so you have a little accidental success, and then all of a sudden you have to give speeches. So I was trying to think of something to tell these songwriters, that was... And I didn't know what to say, but I said, I don't know, just, you just don't want to tell them you got lucky. But say, well, because I wrote that song back in high school, so it's been around for a while. And I told them, well, I don't know what to tell them. I said, just stick in there. If you stick with it, you stick with your guns, and eventually you hang in there, and something you wrote back in high school will come sneak up and buy you a wheelchair when you're old. This is what I call a Weisenheimer. It's actually a Weisenborg. I just thought everybody knew. Who are we talking to? It is weird. There's probably more people. Well, I guess it isn't weird, really, but there's more people come out of this town to play this instrument than anywhere else in the world, I believe. But it isn't weird because everybody that plays it came out of this music store. And this store is where we all learned about these Weisenborns. They're, back in the 20s, back in the 20s in Hollywood. They just have a really great sound. Mainly because how you knock on a guitar. This is the resonating chamber, but in this instrument, the resonating chamber goes all the way up into the neck. See, the neck is hollow too here, and that creates a unique sound that you can't get nowhere else. could tell, 'cause that young man was always well. Planted his corn on June the 1st, and in July it was up to his eye. There comes September, there comes a big fall, and all that young man's corn was lost. Oh, he went to the fields and he got there at last. The grass and the weeds was up to his chin. The grass and the weeds had grown so high that it caused that young man for to sigh. And his courtship had just begun, saying, "Young man, have you hoed some corn?" I tried and I tried and I tried in vain, but I don't believe I've raised one grain. Then why do you come to me to wed if you can't raise your own cornbread? Well, single I am in a weary May, 'cause a lazy man I won't maintain. Oh, well, he turned his back and he walked away, saying, "Young miss, you rue the day. You'll rue the day that you were born, for giving me the devil 'cause you wouldn't hold corn." So his courtship was to an end, and on his way he then began, saying, "Young miss, no, I'm gonna have another girl if I have to ramble this whole wide world." Oh, it's another one of those luck of the draw things where Alison Krauss had done my arrangement, put it on her, actually a couple of her CDs. One of the, they did DVD, like a movie or a concert DVD, and it went platinum. So now you can tell kids that, because usually they tell you, hey, don't play that folk music because you'll go broke. And that was probably on the largest selling record that I've ever been associated with. But to talk a little more about the songwriting process, this is another new kind of song that, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to write this, what I think is a new kind of song. Doesn't mean it's good, but it's an idea. And that is, I'm trying to create like more of a living song, like a breathing song, a song that can change meaning at different times with whatever mood you're in. And so I don't think about it much, I just kind of do it. But this is an instance where I was trying to listen to the song to see if it worked, see if it could do it. And the hook in this song is kind of like, I may need to follow you, And so I'm thinking, well, maybe this is, the guy's maybe stalking his girlfriend, maybe he's really in love with us and he's jealous, and he's maybe, the character in the song is maybe doing something that he probably doesn't want to do, but he can't help himself, that kind of a thing. And so it's okay, it kind of lines up with that. But then I began to think different. I thought, well, what if it was a gospel song, and this character was, looking for something that he wasn't finding, and so he was maybe going to consider, the Christ thing or the Buddha thing, or I just may have to follow you, that kind of angle. And I listen to it, and I'll go, wow, it lined up really good. It's a gospel song. So then I go, well, so that's kind of what I was thinking, that it worked like that. And I was working on it like, I would listen to it because I was in the studio, and I would add parts like fiddle parts and bass parts and try to flesh it out to make it, semi-interesting. And so I was in the process of doing that, so I was listening to it while I was doing that. Usually after I record them, I never listen to them unless I have to learn a song off them or something. I just move on. Because this is like volume 50, so it's pretty embarrassing. But and so I was in the process, I was adding a fiddle, and I was going to listen to it. And I got a phone call from my brother, and he had told me that he went to the doctor, and he required a real serious operation. And I'm sure he'll be all right and everything, but that really scared me. And I went back in, I go, well, I better finish up my work and make sure it's going to work okay. And I listened to it again. And all of a sudden I had this, a movie in my head. I saw a guy singing at a funeral. He stood up at a funeral and he sang this song about, I guess, his friend or whatever that died. And so then the song automatically lined right up with that. So anyway, then you can listen to it and you can see if I am in fact crazy. And, I think it's called The Following. The streetlights loom as high as a dinosaur's eye, and a wish is my intent. Coin colors on the mountains that a bank of clouds has sent, and I'd go up in the sky after you. Paint my hubcaps blue if it would better help me follow you. It's not that I distrust moonlit gravel on the range. I can't get a foothold on a whisper I can't get a simple thing to change. Around every corner, followed through, and I just may need to follow you. I may need to follow you to a place I don't exist. I got my work cut out for me at the bottom of the list. A place of hope, a place to pray, a place to hopefully stand. And I see everything with wings, but I see no place to land. Too much dirt, too much traffic, too much simple readiness. And I may need to follow you, or at least the darkness and the way you dress. Beneath the dogwoods of despair, I was there. In my heart pounds a solo from a tall, tall stage, and the poet follows his words right off the page. And who am I to give myself so true, until to find myself I may need to follow you. The watermelon dripping in the burden of the shade, starched white sheets like angels wrestling in a bed unmade, chugging like a train to a place I can't explain. To see the face value on the cards I drew, I may need to follow you. And we will find and pull that lever, our valley like a dent in the head of a clown. Out of the long dry never, all happiness flies down. I'd go into the sky after you, I would paint my hubcaps blue, if it would better help me follow you. The only time I ever wear a watch is when just so I know how to get off stage, but I never heard what time I'm supposed to get off stage. How am I doing? It looks like about 45 minutes. Should I do one more? Yeah. Well, maybe I'll do this one because it's semi-irrelevant. When I was growing up, I used to hang out at this coffee house in San Bernardino called the Penny University, and that's kind of where I went to school. That was my musical school. And I felt very lucky to have that. And there was that. Then out here was the Golden Ring, and that's the two places people went. And otherwise, you could go into LA to the Ash Grove if you were brave, but this always scared me, so I went to San Bernardino. But I didn't see the date exactly, but in a week or two, Mary McCaslin is going to be playing here, and she was there all the time. She lived in Muscoy, and I got to see her a lot in those early days. And then she married a gentleman named Jim Ringer, who came from up in the Fresno area, and he was really one of my favorite singers. And she brought him, he came down to live in Muscoy, and we got to know them. And then at some point, actually shortly before he passed away, they were going to move up to Eureka or somewhere nice like that from Muscoy, which is kind of rural. I like it, but a lot of people want to move away from there. But so they were. But so I had a friend in Muscoy, so I thought, well, let's go over and see how the movement is going, see how it's going. And so we walked over there, and I guess Mary had already took the furniture and moved up there, but Jim was still there, and he had to settle some things and close the place up and stuff. And so anyway, we're walking up, and there was Jim Ringer in the front lawn and in a lawn chair, crying. And Jim, what's wrong? And he was just, and there was like beer cans, empty beer cans, like 20 empty beer cans all around him. So it was cool. I wish I had a camera. It was a beautiful sight. But he said he said, I have to sleep out in the yard because I go in the house and it's just too sad. Because he really loved Muscoy, and I liked that was even possible. And so I wrote this song. It's not biographical, but it was around the idea of that. It's called String of Empties. String of empties on the lawn, as the thorns in the plants look on. The wind might blow them, but they still will lead to me. I comprehend not what you're trying to say. As you approach, they fade away from not freedom, but from the gaps between. Chickens and rabbits in my old habits. I see the home fire bliss. I see housewives smoking, licking batter from their fists. I follow that beer can into the house, across the bike engine in a sad woman's blouse, and an ashtray from every bar that failed. If you follow that pattern, you just might contort and find out maybe life is short. But it's a fuse that's made of hope and care. And follow that beer can across the rug, past the couch, the color of a grave just dug. But I won't come in, I'll sleep in the yard, for it's my inside world that fell apart. String of empties, wink in the moonlight. They are not trophies, but they are a little gold-like. They're like medicine of old, from which once the good times rolled. Yeah, wait a minute, hold that thought. I'm not a thief, but I still got caught while trying to avoid crying and avoid the best years of my life. Love your neighbor if you want to, but don't ever let the good life haunt you. String of empties, you are hollow, but you're real. Face it when you name your first child Bergie. Yeah, I am the second one slit. Maybe there's a pattern in all of this. Yeah, well, it's like watching TV the way I think, as I pop the top on a string of one more drink. String of empties neatly at my humble feet. Rolling out the red carpet and to a lawn chair throne. String of empties lead to the man to you I've shown. A string of empties lead to the man to you I've shown. To the man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're going to take a really short break, just about 5 minutes, and we'll turn the lights on so you guys can stretch your legs. We have, 10 minutes? 10 minutes, okay. 10 minutes, and there's bottled water up there for $1, and you can check out Pat and Brian's CDs up at the counter. So we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thanks.